gentlemen, welcome to it.
Good morning to the folks. What up to the youngins and bless up to the world.
And then Tay just put your info on blast like that.
It's what the people want to know, bro. My bad.
Nah, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to it. It is the Morning Shake with me, your host, Xavier Hendricks. And of course, today I do not have my co-host with me because he's got to sort something out. And let's hope he just feels better soon so that he can be back on set with me so that we can have this conversation. We might have Leandra join us later on in the conversation. We'll see how that goes. But without any further ado, it's been long anticipated, ladies and gentlemen. I would like you to welcome my guest for this morning show, none other than Alyssa Conley. Alyssa, how you doing?
Thanks, I'm good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me. It's great
Good,
to be
good. Oh, I was wondering where you were. I didn't hear
Oh.
you for a second
here.
there.
I hear myself either there.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Well, thank you for coming through. I'm interested in having a good conversation with you today. And as the poster suggests, defying the odds. How do you get through, challenging times? And I know you had your fair share of challenging times and a fair share of challenges in your life, personally and professionally, as far as your sporting career is concerned. But before we get into all of that, can you just really take us through a little bit of who you are, how we get to where we are today?
Yo, that's a long story.
It's a long story.
I'm 30 years old. So how much time do we have?
A lot happened in 30 years.
So much has happened. Yeah, but basically, for those who don't know me, Alyssa Conley, born in Johannesburg, South, grew up in Riverlea, attended Olympian primary school, and yeah, that's basically where I found my love for track and field. I was a very naughty kid, so my parents sent me to school at the age of 4 because they just had to get rid of me. They're like, go
They're
to
like,
school.
you have to get out of the house.
You can't be at home. You're annoying us, so get out of here. Go to school. So yeah, I started school early, and I think I just discovered the love I have for sports at Willem and I remember running there my first race on gravelstone, and I just went.
Did you go barefoot?
I went barefoot.
Come on now.
That's where my nickname came from, Zola Bud. So I went barefoot. I mean, I don't know why I went barefoot. I just felt very comfortable being barefoot. It is what it is. So, and I ran barefoot till the age of 12, 13. I raced barefoot. And
Serious?
yeah, people always look at me like, why are you barefoot? What's wrong with you? Can't you afford shoes or something?
Your feet got used to the soil of the earth.
Exactly. I had to be in touch with nature. You know what I mean? So yeah, I ran barefoot, and I remember when I raced on tartan tracks, I'd always finish the race and I'd be bleeding, literally. Because I never like putting tape around my feet either, because I don't like feeling constricted. So I go pure bare.
Is it that track with the it's like rubber kind of
it's
thing?
tartan, yeah.
She
The
was-
red or blue, or
Yeah.
sometimes they have different colors. Yeah. So basically, that was my thing. But anyway, back to your question. Yeah.
So you started running since that time. So you ran on gravel, and then and then how did it progress to you starting to become a little bit more like when things really started becoming serious, as far as you realized, okay, this is my thing?
Yeah. So that run that I ran on gravel, I think the teachers said to my dad, "Jeez, your child, she's vinnig, like you have to do something about this." And then they moved me to middle primary, and I obviously they started looking for a coach for me. My dad drove everywhere, eventually found a coach, and I joined the coach, and I think I made my first, I obviously ran provincial champs every year and all of that, and I made my first international meet when I was 12. I went to Australia to run in the specific school games. I came second in the 200 over there, and I won the 100 meters. So yeah, I think that's when people realized, okay,
When people were like,
she's fast.
Something
can happen.
She's
Yeah.
got something here. Okay, so then you started going. Take us through a little bit through what happens in high school, as far as because I can imagine you probably dominated the sport in high school.
Yeah. So yeah, high school I went to Mondial High. It was a really good school. I enjoyed my athletics career there. There wasn't a lot of pressure because all of the top athletes, they usually go to private schools. So I was the athlete at Mondial High, and I always wanted to be that underdog. Let me go to Mondial High and let me go and show those other schools that we can also produce great athletes. And yeah, every year I managed to qualify for international meet, whether it was Youth Africa Champs or Youth World Champs, Junior World Champs, Junior Africa Champs. And I think that's how my career progressed. I really thought I was well on my way to 2012 Olympic Games. But in 2009, I ran Africa Champs, Junior Africa Champs in Mauritius, and I basically pulled my hamstring, third-degree tear. I remember it so clearly because it was the 200-meter final, and I was beaten in 100, and I was like, I need to get revenge. I was beaten by a Nigerian girl, and I'm like, I have to get revenge. Like, I was like ready and fired up, and I was ready for this 200-meter final, and I'm leading the race, and everything's going good. And we were like last 20 meters, and all of a sudden, my hamstring goes, and I literally like fall over the line and just like slide through. And obviously, then I lost it, and I came second. But since then, like...
You came second even though you messed up your hamstring.
Yeah.
Only
because we were so far ahead
because
of
you were
the
already...
rest of the...
excuse me.
No,
Just
I don't
opened
mean it
up
like
this
that.
big... She's like, yeah, there's this big gap between us. Yeah. And so you lost your hamstring there. Boom. But what you were gunning for the 2012 Olympics that time. That was the aim. That was the goal. That was the objective. And then boom, hamstring goes. How does that feel?
Hamstring goes to that. I mean, it was my first massive injury. Like, so I never even knew what happened. Literally got up disappointed more about losing the race than the hamstring. Obviously, I was young, so I just thought I just fell.
So how was your parents? Did they come with you to all these meets?
Actually, at that one, my mom, dad, sister, and both grannies were there.
Whoa!
But
so
they
you had
never
the whole
got
family.
to watch the 200-meter final. They only watched... they left before then. They had to fly back because we were in Mauritius, because it was in Mauritius. So we were in Mauritius for like a week before that for my sister's 21st, and then the next week I raced. So they got to see a little bit of my racing. And yeah, they unfortunately missed the 200-meter final because they had to go back, but they were there to support me and to watch and everything. And I was like, I have to win this for my grannies,
because they're here. And obviously you feel that like, my people are here to support me. I need to make this work.
Yeah.
And then that happens. And then have you seen that clip where the guy, I think something happens and then his father comes and carries him across the line? Have you seen that clip? That's the emotion. Was one of those moments.
My father wasn't there to carry me across the line.
So then that happens. 2012 Olympics was your dream. How old were you at that stage?
Sure. I'm not good at math, but I was probably in my teens, around 17.
So that's high school though?
Yeah, high school 2012. I finished out of high school. I finished high school in 2008.
So when where was the Olympics in 2012?
London. So if I finished 2008, 4 years, I was probably 22. Around 21, 22, yeah.
So then that happens. So then you blow your chances of ever. So what's going on in your mind at that point? Like, I wanted to make the Olympics. This happens. What happens in your mind?
Look, so when I got home from Mauritius, I was just like, disappointed. I lost the race, whatever. Go on. 2010, I started my season again. But I could feel like I wasn't the same athlete. I wasn't running, as well. And just things were just feeling off. And obviously doing rehabilitation, trying to fix the hamstring, all of that. But just it wasn't the same. I literally went from winning races to losing races. I wasn't even making finals in South Africa. Like, my athletics just seemed like so far-fetched. So literally I went and I probably saw over, I think, 20 medical physicians in different areas, biokineticists, GPs, orthopedic surgeons, all of that. And eventually they found out what was wrong with me. And in 2011, I went for my first operation, major operation.
So what was it, the hamstring?
No, it was my hip. So I had a cam lesion in my hip, which means you have your femur from your quad and you have the socket. So basically my femur wasn't moving smoothly in the socket. It was getting stuck. And obviously being an athlete, having to, lift my hips, having to lift my legs and run, that's not very ideal. So that's why I couldn't really run.
Yeah, you have to be in like perfect condition to get the best result. And so if anything is wrong, it's a problem. It needs to be sorted out.
Yeah.
So then what happens? You end up going for the hip surgery.
Yeah, went for hip surgery 2011. 2012 did rehab for like a year because I was like one of the first people to have that hip surgery in South Africa. So my rehabilitation took like 9 months. It was very long, very draining. I just decided after that, like, screw this. I'm going to just focus on my studies, but also just enjoy life. 2010, it was the World Cup.
Yeah, it was World Cup.
There was Alyssa just enjoying life, being out every weekend, watching the World Cup, watching the football, and just having fun. I literally was so disappointed that I never made 2012 Olympics, so I never had the opportunity to get there, that I basically just shut athletics out of my life. I was like, it's not for me, it's not meant to be. This is where my career ends, so move on.
So do you think you fell into a bit of a depression at that stage in your life?
I mean, I wasn't diagnosed with depression, and I know it's a very serious thing, depression, so I wouldn't like say it was, but I was in a very dark place. You know, I just wasn't myself anymore. I was questioning a lot of things. I was questioning my faith, my religion. I was questioning my life. Because growing up at 4 years old, I knew I wanted to be an Olympian. Like, that's all I focused on. My parents will tell you my school was terrible. Because I was like, why do I have to write the maths test? I'm going to run fast, you know? Yeah. Why do I have to study? That's a waste of my time. Let me just train. So having to come to that realization where, this is actually now a turning point in your life. What are you going to do now? What are you going to be now? You know?
It was like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that moment.
That slow-mo moment. Like, So, yeah, it was definitely a dark place for me, mentally and physically in every way.
So for me, I want to get to the place where, outside of the sporting career, because I think this morning's conversation, I think, and by the way, for everyone watching this morning, thank you so much for tuning in. And I want you to also ask questions. If you got any comments, anything in the comment section is literally open in front of me. If you jot down something, even if you just want to say hi, I'll throw the question over to Alyssa and she'll answer it for you. But I think more so for those people who are watching, the reason I said defying the odds, because I know that at some point in your career you managed to break out of that kind of mold. Like you say, depression is a serious thing, so I don't necessarily want to call it depression per se, but it was, like you said, a dark place, a spot where it was like, everything I've ever dreamed for, everything I've ever hoped for, everything I've ever wanted to achieve has now come to nothing. I literally put all my eggs in this basket, and now the basket just came tumbling down. All the eggs are broken. Yeah. So that moment where you're like, this is where it is. I'm probably not gonna achieve this dream of mine. So you know what? YOLO. I'm gonna go out and just do whatever I want. How far did you get into that space? I want to get into your mind as far as how deep did you really get into that space, and what was that turning point for you to say, hey, hold on, I need to get my backside in order here and get myself back onto the horse?
Yeah, basically, I was probably in that mindset for over a year, where it was just YOLO. Like, I don't care, whatever happens, happens. I'm just going to live life, I'm going to enjoy life, I'm just, forget the dream, forget whatever values, Alyssa, just have fun. Probably for over a year, and, eventually I realized, okay, life has to move on. You have to pass your degree, you have to eventually start working, you have to make money, like, you have to live. And, then I started finding different jobs. I mean, I've always been a hard worker. My parents always instilled that in us, like, you have to work. So my sister and I, we basically worked jobs from high school already.
Your sister older than you?
My sister's older than me, 3 years, yeah. Even though she looks younger, I know. She's 3 years older than me. No, she's been a very good role model in my life. So, yeah, so basically I was like, okay, Alyssa, you got to work now, unfortunately. Life is not just going to... You weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth,
You gotta make this work.
You have to make this work. And still, I forgot about athletics. I ignored it. I never watched athletics. I never spoke to my track friends. I was just mad at the sport. And I just focused on working, on my studies, on finishing all of that. And I was lecturing for a little bit, and I was a fitness instructor for a bit as well. And I got a call from Nike, and they were looking for a female sporty person to join their marketing team as a product specialist. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. If I can't run and represent the brand, maybe I can work for them. And I took the opportunity, went for the interviews. I think I started working for them in 2014. And obviously I worked with a lot of athletes of a high caliber, like Timilin Kune, Kasta Semenya, all of these guys. And I was sitting there one day and I'm looking at these athletes and I'm like, no, I'm on the wrong side. I need to be the athlete as well. I need to be that is my passion. That is what I was born to do. So I gave up way too easily. And
so as much as you were trying to suppress that feeling, because you were angry, because you were disappointed, because you had there was a combination of feelings of why didn't this go the way I wanted it to go?
Yeah.
I'll just let this go. But while you were working in that space, it seems as if you were like, nah, I can't just let this go. It's just something that was just keep pulling you towards.
I was jealous. Like, to be honest, to be straight up, I was jealous. That it was like me watching the life I want to live, but from the outside. And I'm like, why can't I be living that life? Like, what's different about me? Why can't I also be a national athlete or international athlete? Why can't I also sign a contract with a company like Nike and not work for them, but actually run for them? You know, so I asked myself all those questions, and and I think it was 2015 or 2014 November where I spoke to my sister about this. We had like a fitness session because we love keeping fit. We had a fitness session at the track, and we're just speaking about life and where we're at and what we want to achieve and where we really want to be. And I think we made a pact with each other that day that we're both going to go to 2016 Rio Olympic Games, come high or hell water, we're going to do it. Whatever challenges we face, we're going to help each other through it, and we're going to make this happen. Then I started training again 2015. I've trained.
Before we get to 2016, right?
Yeah.
Is 2016 Rio?
Yes.
Okay, before we get to 2016, I want you to drop us one hectic life lesson that you have learned in that little space there.
Your hectic life lesson. There were so many, but the main lesson I learned and the realization I had to come through with all the introspection I had to do in my life and reflection and all of that is that don't take your blessings and your talents for granted, because not everything is just going to fall in front of you, or not everything is just going to go the way you want it to go. And that is, I think, what I did. I just assumed from a young age, I'm fast. These girls can't beat me. I was like really young, and I was racing girls that were 3-4 years older than me, and they couldn't beat me in South Africa.
So you had that untouchable
I was
status.
like a little bit of an ego, a little bit of a, doesn't matter, you know, I can do whatever I want to do. I don't really have to work that hard. I don't really have to, train that hard or whatever. I'm just going to make it because already
I'm me.
it's there.
Yeah.
That's my future. That's my plans, you know. So I think the main lesson I took is like, don't take anything for granted. Like, if you want something, hard work, and anything can happen, you know, and you have to be able to adjust to challenges. You can't just crumble when the first challenge hits you. So that was my first big lesson.
So that's the big lesson there. Then you have this conversation with your sister while you guys are training, and you guys kind of make this pact between the two of you. Okay, now the next target or the next goal, which I think is also a lesson that kind of like you set these kind of targets, kind of short term or long term, but it's like, okay, this is the next one, and I'm going to work my backside off to make sure that I get to that one. So now take us to the lead up between, what was that, 2014, when you made that agreement with yourself and with your sister. What happens between then and Rio?
Sure. Let me just go back before 2014. So my sister is a biokineticist at trade, right? So she obviously rehabs athletes and all of that. So after my operation in 2011 or 2012, you know, I was like expecting her, like, get me ready, fix me now. So we had a lot of, but before her, there was a lot of people I saw, a lot of medical people I saw that were trying to help me get better, but it just took so long. And eventually, like, my sister was qualified, and I said, Simona, you have to fix me. Like, this is important. And obviously we had, a lot of arguments, a lot of fights, because I was just in this dark space where I blamed everything and everyone around me. I was even like, my dad's your fault I've got a hip problem. This is genetics. Why do I have such bad genetics? Like, I'm supposed to be at Olympics running and racing, and, you know, you just blame everything around you, just angry at everything. And, eventually I had to come to terms with, that's life. Life is going to throw you challenges. Not everything is easy. And
so you were a bit of you weren't a nice person to be around in that space.
If you have to ask my mother, she'll probably tell you, like, from age 13 to 18, I was a horrible kid. I was horrible, I was moody, I was, like every other teenager, but now I had other things to deal with as well.
Now you had you had a reason to be angry at the world,
like massive challenges already at such a young age. But when I eventually made that switch, and I was like, no, Alyssa, come on, like, just work hard and it will happen. Switch on. Then literally I sacrificed everything. I put everything into it. 365 days, a full year of training well, eating well, recovering well, just basically focusing on what I want my goal to be, and reminding myself every day that 2016 Olympics, you want to be an Olympian. That's all you ever wanted to be. So work hard and make this happen. I obviously had to also make that mental switch. So I spoke to a few people, a few life coaches, and I also started building a stronger relationship with God, and figuring out, like, what does he want for my life, and just trusting in his plan for my life. And I think that's when I made the switch, and I was extremely positive. And I also said to myself, like, you're coming out of a serious operation and a bad time. just enjoy it. Whatever happens now is a bonus, you know. And I think I eventually, instead of having so much pressure on myself to be this amazing athlete, I actually started enjoying the sport and what I was doing. And yeah.
So you're Christian?
Yes,
Okay.
I am. Grew up in church, baptized, all those things that Christians do.
Cool. So you went from the 2014, you made this pact, now you focused. You're like, this is going to work, come hell or high water, I'm going to make this happen regardless. Then you begin to really get into the world of sport and athletics. Let's speak a little bit about facilities in South Africa. How conducive are the facilities in South Africa? If not, what would you like to see for the kids coming up that are interested in the sport? Speak to us a little bit about that.
You know, in South Africa, we have amazing facilities. We have top-class facilities. I think what we lack in South Africa is knowledge and development and actually understanding how to develop elite athletes. We don't have that knowledge. So it doesn't boil down to facilities. I mean, if you look at Jamaicans, they train, watch their YouTube videos, they train on freaking veld grass, but they produce top-class athletes because they have the knowledge of how to produce an athlete. So I think what we lack, especially in schools, because that is the important part, high school. Like, we can't have teachers being coaches. Teachers don't know anything about sports. Or
They're basically just babysitting the kids there and go run. Yeah.
They're like, okay, today I feel like making you run 2,100 meters, go run. But they don't even understand why is the kid running 2,100 meters or, you know.
There's no method behind,
There's no method. They don't understand how to teach technique and all of that. So, you know, I do believe that if our government really wants to invest and develop a lot of elite athletes, which we can, because South Africa always does well at a junior and youth level. I always preach this in every interview I do. Like, we naturally talented. There's no problem with talent in South Africa. The problem is the development.
So leadership is an issue.
Leadership is an issue. Coaches, sports scientists, like physiotherapists. We don't actually use those people to develop our athletes. And obviously then they're going to be like, no, it's the money. We can't pay them, you know, all of those things. So I think it's just government and institutions and associations and federations working incorrectly with money. You know.
So what do you think? Because I feel like I feel like something can be done about the situation.
Of course it can. I think experience speaks volumes. You know, sometimes people come out of high school and they study a degree, for sports science, for example, but they don't really have passion for sports, or they don't really understand sports, or they haven't experienced sport at the same level. So I believe, like, get athletes involved. You know, get previous athletes involved. In federations, in organizations, in government positions, because we've been there, we've done that. We know what you're going to face as an upcoming athlete.
You come with that experience.
We come with the experience. Some of us have studied, some of us do have the background and the knowledge as well, but we have that experience. So I think, you know, get more athletes into those positions too, especially in schools. Get athletes to coach, you know, the school teams. Don't get teachers, get athletes. And, you know, they're not going to charge an arm and a leg, but just get your athletes to come
invest into it properly. But here's the thing. Okay, so now you practiced and you've done all you needed to do up to 2015. We're still on this journey. I'm still taking the viewers onto this little journey that we're on here. What happens just before Rio, and to kind of take us into that whole, take us into Brazil. This is Brazil.
I wish I could turn back time and relive that. So basically, the last time I raced before 2016 was probably in 2011. I was out for 4 years, started training 2014, and now in 2016, and I think I ran my first race January 2016. The emotions and feelings before that race. I think I was probably nervous for at least 2.5 weeks before that race. And eventually... This
is now the Olympics?
No. This is my first race back.
Like you're back now.
Like
You've had this long break and you need to make this work
now. And I need to race now. So get to the track. I think I raced at UJ 200 and 100. And, you know, so many thoughts going through my mind. Like, Alyssa, can you even race? Like... When the gun goes off, is your body gonna react? Are you gonna just
are you gonna freeze
and sit in the blocks? Like, do you even know how to move your legs? And mind you, I've been training for 12 months, so
but mentally, you thinking, oh snapper, do I still have what it takes?
Exactly, going through all of these things, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing? But anyway, we're here now. We're standing at the start. The blocks are right here.
Go time.
The stage is set. You can't turn back now, So get into the blocks, run the race. Obviously, my family was there to watch. And
okay, wait till the gun goes boom.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Take us through the race.
I don't know. Everybody asks me, how nervous are you, before the race, before you get into the blocks? And I kid you not, at that point in time, you feel no nerves. Mm-hmm. The nerves happens when you're warming up, when you're walking through the call room, maybe a week before or sometimes 2 weeks before. Mm-hmm. That's when the nerves are like crazy, like you can't sleep and you're thinking and you're running the race through your mind and all of that. But when you get to the blocks, it's like...
It's go time.
It's showtime. It's showtime. So as soon as that gun goes off, you literally just react and your body just does what it does. Yeah.
So what happens in that race?
Yes, I run the race. I win the race.
Of course.
No. But I win the race and obviously I cross the finish line and I go up. My mom's like, why do you always slow down? Why don't you push all the way through? My mom is always that hard mom that lectures me like, Alyssa, you can't slow down. You have to push all the way. I'm like, yes, Ma, it's my first race back. But then I never even checked the time on the clock or anything. I just ran the race, walked off, went to go do my cool downs and everything. And someone eventually came to me and was like, do you know you just ran the qualification time for Olympics?
Serious?
Yeah.
What was that time?
Jeez, it was probably like a 22...
What is 200 meters?
200 meters, yeah. 22.8, I think, or something. So that was like 5 years ago or whatever. But this is my first race back, and I'm like, no, you're kidding. Really? I ran the time for...
And you were doubting yourself before.
I was just like, oh, Alyssa, okay, you need to work harder. You need to run through the line. You need to do better. All of those things. But then I ran the qualification time, and I was like, whoa. Okay, so this can actually happen now. I can actually become an Olympian.
So then, take us to Brazil.
Yeah, obviously then racing, throughout 2016, I raced so much because I was a known name in the European circuit, and in track and field, people need to know you, and you need to be known and have, times behind your name in order to get races and stuff. So I raced. I went to Europe first.
So you have to first build this kind of
reputation,
yeah.
And also, in order to qualify, you have to run the qualification time on SA soil and international soil.
Okay.
So it's not just SA soil. So I do my thing on SA soil, run my times, do the thing, and I leave to go to Europe, and I have to run the times there as well. So I'm racing every week.
What happens in Europe now? You're racing against different
You're racing
people.
Against people from different countries. So it's the European circuit, so everybody from around the world.
So what kind of people are like next to you in the lanes?
I think my first race, 2016 in Europe, I raced Daphne Schippers, who back then was the world champ in the 200 meters. So you race, I've raced Elaine Thompson, I've raced Shelley Fraser, Veronica Campbell.
Well, what countries are represented there?
Jamaica,
Germany,
all the European countries, Great Britain, every country in the world. China, you can race against people from Malaysia, you can race against people from India. Like literally, if you good enough to get a lane at that competition, at that meet,
then you're good.
Then you get a lane, basically, yeah. So Americans, everyone.
So you get a lane, you're there.
Yeah.
The gun goes, what happens?
You race. You race and you hope you run that time.
How did you do in those races?
No, I did very well, actually. 2016 was a really good year. I think every race I ran qualification time, and every race I ran a new PB, so new personal best. Wherever I raced. So it was really, really good. But then by the time I got to the Olympics, I think, my legs were tired.
But do you have this thing in your mind that you're racing against yourself, or do you have this thing in your mind that you're racing, like you said PB now, or you're racing against the competitors? What happens in your mind? Are you just thinking, let me just beat my last best time? Or what do you think?
The competitors are always there. You're always going to look at the starting list to say, okay, I'm racing you. I know how you run. Okay, I've ran against you before, that type of thing. So you get to learn the athletes and know the athletes.
Do you ever see like celebrities on that page and then you're like, oh snap?
My 100-meter heat I ran was against Elaine Thompson, and I was like, yay, I'm racing Elaine Thompson.
Oh, so you were excited?
Yeah,
you weren't like
hey. It's once in a lifetime where you share a track with the world and Olympic champion.
Athlete,
Like, you know what I mean? But athletes are very confident. We don't go there and shy away. No.
You're like, I'm here too.
Yeah. If you're there and I'm there, like, we're on the same page, we're on the same level. And that's the thing I loved about Olympic Games. Like, no one thinks they're better than the next person. We all get to share the same experience. We all get the same things. it's all on the same level. We're there to compete, and it's the best stage in the world in terms of sport, and everybody is respected. So when you an athlete, I won't be like, oh my gosh, I'm scared to race. And no, I think you have to have a certain level of confidence in your ability and yourself, that when you line up there, it's anyone's game.
So then you do well at the Europe, what do you call
European circuit.
European circuit. You do well in that, you qualify for all of that. Then how does the Olympic process actually work? How do you actually get into running in the actual Olympics?
So now you've qualified. So if you've qualified and ran the times, then your federation, SASCOC and ASA federations and stuff have to select a team and put a team together, and they have a massive announcement on SuperSport, and everybody, they have a day that it happens, and whoever's in the Olympic team, you will be announced on SuperSport, and your picture will come up, and they'll say, okay, you're in the Olympic team, you've made it, you're going to represent your country at Olympic Games.
So you made it?
Yes.
And then how does that feel? Like your family's excited, you become a celebrity overnight?
No, not a celebrity, I wish. But I think I was in Europe when they did the whole announcement. I wasn't in South Africa. But obviously my family was watching the announcement on TV, and they showed me, they showed my sister, and we were like, oh, we made it. But it felt like such like I never believed it yet. Because I knew,
surreal.
Look, I knew I ran the times and I qualified and all of that, so I was expecting to see myself come up on the list.
Like you knew it's definite,
unless I was tested for
some sort of
performance
drug or whatever,
or something, which I obviously knew I wasn't. So I knew my name would come up on the screen because I've done the hard work and I've run the qualification time. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, but it was just nice.
It was still like, wow,
know.
okay, we actually made it.
Yeah, like we've worked hard, we made this pact, and it has actually come true. But I think the first, like when I really realized it, was when we got to Rio. And, when we got to the
how's that feeling though?
I can't explain it. Like, it is absolutely amazing. Like, you treat it like you are
like top
gold.
tier.
Like, and you get to the Olympic Games and you go through the whole process and you go to your...
So what do you do? Do you get like an hotel room? They pick you up?
It's actually a village. So it's a massive village of apartments, sky apartments, and they actually close off about maybe 100 to 150 kilometers. They close off the roads around the Olympic Village, so no one can come in from the public. So it's all like closed off, and
so you have like
secure.
your privacy and all that.
Everything is there. Your transport systems are there. Your food is there. Your gym, your recovery systems, like everything is there.
They make it as
hairdresser, nail, playroom, all the food that sponsors you. We have a 24-hour eating area that's open all the time. Like,
so they make it as comfortable as they can.
It's like a world on its own, literally. I always compare it to like the Walt Disney of theme parks. That's Olympic Games of sports. Like it's everything is
so
there.
you've experienced that. So boom, you're there, you're meeting other athletes, you're doing all this kind of thing. And then how did you fare in the actual in the Olympics? How did that go?
I did okay. I mean, every athlete, unless you come home with a medal, you'll be like, oh, I did alright. But I was happy with my world rankings at the end of the season. I was ranked quite high in the 200 and the 100, both on a world stage. I think in the 200 I was top, probably 25 in the world, which
that's high.
Yeah, that's
super
That's
high.
good. Like, there's so many athletes in the world. There's so many people that compete in the
And
world,
if you
and I'm
made
in
it
the top
up,
25,
top,
So that was amazing for me. And then in Africa, I was in the top 5 in the world.
Sheesh.
And then in South Africa, obviously, I was first in the 200 and second in the 100.
Who was first in the 100 there?
Karina Horn. She was first, yeah. So that was the thing. Like, I was happy with my world rankings. I was happy, like, coming from, probably in 2015, I was probably like top 500 in the world because I wasn't racing. And to bring that
to bring it all the way up to like that top 25.
Yeah.
What lesson do we take from the Olympics experience?
I think that anything is possible. Like if you actually put your mind to something, and if you actually want something to happen in your life and you work hard towards it, anything is possible.
So coming from that dark place, going to the Olympics, what's that?
The switch.
What's that switch like?
Yeah, so obviously coming from like, life is so hard, life is so challenging, like, that negative energy, that negative mindset, to then just switching everything around and believing or realizing that anything is possible and I can achieve anything I want to achieve. It's a whole 360 switch. But it happens in life where, you're going to go back to the doubt and the negativity. Just the next year was World Championships, and I'd worked really hard. I qualified for both 100 and 200 again. But because of financial issues, the federation just decided to leave about 10 or 11 of us athletes behind, and I was one of those athletes.
She was.
So now, like, from this really high, like, I just come out of that dark place, and I'm doing really well in my career, and I just want to keep going. I'm working really hard. I'm putting in a sacrifice, because being an athlete is hard, like, very hard. Like,
it's like an actual thing. Like, you have to focus.
You can't be out on weekends. You can't eat what you want to eat. It's discipline.
Like, your body's a machine that you need to keep well oiled all the time.
Exactly. So it's a lot of sacrifice, and you want to get that reward in the end of the day that you're working towards, and not getting that again. Like, you switch and you go back into that, like, what the heck do I have to do? Like, how hard do I have to work to actually make it there? And if my hard work is not enough, then what's going to be enough? So then you face that again, and you face that challenge again.
Then that doubt and that feelings from the past start coming back.
Yeah.
It was. So in that season, if somebody is ever in that doubtful season in their life, perhaps people are watching, what would you like encourage someone in that space to say that, hey, listen, just keep it moving? How would you encourage someone in that space?
Firstly, allow yourself to feel the emotions. Like, allow yourself to go through those phases, because I think if you, like, fight yourself from being in that emotional phase, in that doubtful phase, you'll never actually learn the lesson, and you'll never come out of it because you've never faced it. You have to walk through that bad river or that bad place in order for you to get to the top of the mountain. It is what it is. That's life. So allow yourself to be in that space, and when you're in that space, then, do a lot of reflection and introspection and discover what your purpose is and what you actually want from life. And once you discover that, then go for it. Like, your only limit is yourself. You're the only person that can stop yourself from going for it.
So then after that, I know there was a season in your career where you dabbled a little bit in the rugby side of things. Yeah. How did that journey go?
That still feels like it was an out-of-body experience. Probably,
it was weird.
It was weird. Weirdest time of my life. I think that it happened in 2018, where obviously now, after I never made world champs, which I really wanted to go to, and the coaches of the Sevens rugby just, like, approached me. They kept phoning me, kept emailing me, and I was like, no, like, I don't play.
This is South African.
Yeah. Sevens, yeah. I'm like, I don't play rugby. Like, I haven't even touched a rugby ball in my life. Like, it's not my thing. I've never ever tried it. I haven't even really played a team sport, to be honest with you. But they kept messaging, kept calling, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll meet up with you. Let's meet up. And they were in Johannesburg. We met up, we had a conversation, and I was like, it's not for me. But I will try and get girls who I think is fast and could help the team. I'll, like, refer a few girls to you, and you could maybe speak to them and see if they're interested. And that's what I did. That's how I helped them. And one day I was running, and I think I ran provincial champs that day, and I woke up, and I literally told my parents, like, I don't enjoy this anymore. Like, I don't have the motivation. I don't feel like going to go and run this race. I'm not interested. I just don't have that passion anymore. So,
there's no real...
Yeah, this is going to be the last race I run, and then I'm done. And I went and they knew it. Like, they could see it. They could feel it. They could see the difference in my attitude. Yeah. I went and I ran the race and basically put zero effort in it. I think I came third. And I've never lost a provincial champ since I was like
school.
11 or something. And I came third in that race, and I was like, yeah, no, it's done. And
you weren't even like, you were like, yeah, sure.
I was like, it's done. I knew it was done. I mean, I went into that race with a negative mindset. Even when I was warming up, I never warmed up like I would usually warm up. I never had that eagerness to win this race.
There wasn't that thing like, today I'm going to...
It was just go through the motions. And I think that afternoon I phoned them and I said, okay, I'll be in Stellenbosch on Monday. So they booked my ticket. We went to Stellenbosch that Monday, and I tried out for the team. They put me through the tests and everything, and they were like, okay, Alyssa, we want you here. And I was like, okay. It was like a very quick thing. Like, I'm like, okay, you're playing rugby now.
Imagine that.
I'm not going to lie. The toughest time of my life. It was hard.
Like, but how's the remuneration on the in the rugby world? Is there sponsorships and stuff going on there?
There's no sponsorships, but I think it's probably one of the only female sports in South Africa. I know now maybe cricket and netball, because they've progressed and they've done really well, so they probably also get monthly salaries. But I know rugby has been one of the only sports that actually pay girl salaries every month.
So they actually pay, but do they pay like decent salaries?
I mean, what's decent these days? I would say
anything over around the 30,000 mark should be
decent.
Not too bad. Like, you
maybe,
can get
maybe 3% of the team gets decent salaries then. maybe like 3%. I don't know.
But the rest is all like
the rest is like average. But I mean, you don't have any living expenses. You stay in an academy and all of that. So
yeah. So what you make
they
is
just
yours
can't be
anyway.
choosers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Yeah. What was it?
Yeah. So I stayed there at rugby very, very hard. Like, I'm a very independent person, you know, and I like things to go my way. So coming from an individual sport to a team sport where I have to accommodate so many different personalities and so many different girls.
It's not just you now.
It's not just me, you know, and also like learning a new skill. There was a lot of time, like I never understood. Okay, obviously I watched rugby and stuff, but I never watched it like to say, I'm going to play or this is what happens. I just watched it. Oh, okay, Lions won, Sharks won, South Africa won. Yeah,
Excited.
And now I'm on the wing and I have to learn different drills and different skills. And every time without fail, I get ahead of the ball. Like ahead of the ball all the time. You know,
Because you like in sprint mode.
Yeah. Rugby, you have to pass back. And,
not forward.
And you have to time the run. And I'm just like, I'm ready to run. Get the ball to me faster.
Let me just run.
Not my problem. Like, you know, and my coach was like, Alyssa, you're not playing NFL. You have to wait for the ball. You have to hang. I'm like, I don't know about hanging. I know about reacting and getting
like,
out there.
Get there and go.
Yeah, there was a lot of like different skills I had to learn and different. It was a lot. Like fitness was crazy. Sevens fitness is crazy. Like literally, you fall on the ground, you have to get up, you have to backtrack, then you're attacking, then you're defending, and you have to be in your line. And
But you were fit anyway.
I'm not that fit.
Really?
No.
Do you think it takes more than
Yeah.
the rugby than athletics?
You can't compare sports. That's the thing.
Oh, it's different
You
worlds.
need to have, for athletics, you need to have a different level of fitness and strength and speed. For rugby, you need to have a different level of fit. Netball, everything is different because you're using, there's different skills, there's different techniques. So
Different parts of your body.
you can never compare sports, you know, and I think that's what people need to learn. You can't say, oh, I'm an athlete, I'm fit, I'm fast. No, you can't compare.
Because rugby,
sports.
you use your arms and
It's
legs.
different skills.
You use your hands, you use a lot more.
I think
than
it's
just
more of different, like I said, like you need to be able to tackle someone and get up quickly and get back into your defense line. And so your cardiovascular fitness needs to be on another level.
So how did that journey end up?
It was a crazy journey. I think I lived in Cape Town, Stellenbosch for about a year and a bit, and I was like ready. I mean, the first part of it was like really hard.
Or were you getting excited for it?
I was eventually
Was it
getting
like,
excited
okay,
for it. Like
I'm now happy.
the
let's
first
do
part,
this.
I was really hard. I was like, I hate this training. It's so hard. And I would every day I'd leave like with different bruises and different marks, and like you get beaten up on that.
But
field.
the athlete inside of you was like,
I woke up every morning and I went back.
do this. We're gonna do this, even if I don't like it. We're gonna get it done.
Exactly. I hate failing. That's my problem. But
No,
then I
that's a good
eventually,
problem.
I eventually, like, you know, I got excited for it. We were supposed to play World Series qualifiers in March 2020. I think it was the end of March. So I was excited. I was like, okay, I'm put 100% into this. I'm going to train really hard. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to make these adjustments. You know, I'm going to get into the sport physically, mentally, giving everything. This is it. So I even did extra sessions on the side where I was lacking in my defense, in, you know, my passing, my catching, timing the ball, all of those things. I like really worked hard. And yeah, excited for those qualifiers. And I think they called us into a team meeting probably around 15th, 16th of March. Called us in and they were like, girls, you know, and we were supposed to play in Stellenbosch, like all the teams were supposed to come play there. They're like, girls, you know, we know you're really excited for this qualifier. We know you want to get on the World Series and you guys are ready, and the team dynamics was great. Like it was really
And everyone was vibing.
Everyone was vibing.
Nice
we were
energy, yeah.
positive. We're going to do this. Yeah, and they came in and like, but sorry, there's a pandemic and you all have to fly home tomorrow. We were like, what? And obviously then Corona just messed everything up and we all had to fly home the next day. And since then, since we all flew home that day, like there hasn't been...
Just went quiet.
Yeah, there hasn't been any sevens rugby. There's only 15s rugby now. And yeah, I think that was just the end of that.
But if they reinstate it, do you think you'll give it another shot? Or
No.
no? You're tired now?
I will not be able to get back to that, no. Like, if I... kudos to everybody that plays rugby. Like, the fitness is next level. I respect them. That's crazy.
She was.
That's crazy.
So what do you think is next for Alyssa Conley? Are we still gonna see you again somewhere on the field or on the track?
Maybe I'll go into... My one friend, Steffi, actually mentioned that I should maybe go into... what is it called? The shooting, maybe for Olympics. Like, friend, why don't you maybe try shooting? No, I'm kidding.
Or archery.
Or archery, something. Just try a different sport now. I don't know. I think that's the nice thing, you know, that anything is possible. and you never know
So you will still give something
where
a
you're
shot.
gonna see me.
I think that vibe inside of you is like,
Yeah.
let's see what else I can get done.
Yeah, I mean, I am back on the track. I am training again. I decided to go back just because it's my passion. It's what I love. It's what I love doing. I enjoy training. I enjoy dying every day on the track. It's just something that
Leaving yourself out there.
just leaving myself. It's something I haven't let go of completely yet. So, I mean, if it's God's will for my life and if my body can handle it next year, then I might race again. We'll see how it goes.
Do you think what was this last Olympics? But it was behind closed doors, right? The last
Tokyo.
one. Tokyo.
It was this year, yeah.
And then when's the next one? It's 4 years.
3 years now, 2024 in Paris.
2024.
Yeah.
So maybe let's try that.
Who knows?
that sounds good.
Who knows? We might come full circle again, and you'll see me competing again.
That'll actually be cool.
Yeah.
What's the age kind of
Limit.
limit with when it comes to running?
So there's no age limit. I mean, you have someone like Gatlin who's 38 and he's still racing.
But do you think you can still be on that peak performance?
I think it all depends on your body, eh? Like your body and because it's an individual sport and because everybody has gone through different training programs and
It
all
depends
of that,
on you.
It depends on you individually. Can your body still handle that? Do you still have fast twitch fiber muscles? Can you still be fast? Have you made that switch and now you're slower? Because I don't know if you've noticed, a lot of people, like when they come out of sports, they go to more endurance sport. It's just because their body and their fast twitch fiber muscles just don't react
Can't keep
anymore.
that anymore,
Yeah,
so
so
they have to start going to longer distance.
Longer
and all
distance. A lot of them will go cycling or they'll start running marathons or those kind
just
of things.
to kind of keep the momentum.
Yeah.
But you think you still got a bunch in you?
I mean, I think I do. I don't think I've reached my peak. I think that with hard work, it's gonna take a lot of hard work.
Well, what about the new kids that are coming on the block now? Like this younger girls that got the swag and all that.
I hope they're ready for me.
Okay, that's a good way to look at
I
it.
hope they're ready for me. We've given them a year not a year. I've given them 4 years to enjoy.
Enjoy your sport.
To enjoy themselves. I'm coming back.
I'm coming to my spot. Alyssa, I think I got a lot of like positive, motivation from this conversation. As far as like you don't ever just let it slide.
Yeah.
You always find a way to figure out how to get back. And I think what's overarching in this whole conversation is that if something's your passion, it's your passion.
Yeah.
And there will be times where you kind of like, I'm not vibing today.
Every day.
But but it's kind of like there's always this thing kind of like pushing you like, come, let's just go get this done.
Yeah.
And you manage to get this done. Is there anything else from your side? I think I covered all my bases, I guess. What would you like to kind of just leave the viewers with today to say?
Yeah, I mean, just exactly what you said. Like, figure out what your passion is, figure out what you want in life. And, I mean, every day I wake up and I'm like, oh, I have to train. Or I look at my program, I'm like, oh, I'm not in the mood for this. But the fact that I woke up and I pitched up means I want it. So I'm there for a reason. And if you're there for a reason, give 100%. Don't waste your time. Don't go in anything half-heartedly. Don't go and give 30% or 50%. If you're there, it's your time. So give 100%. Be there, be present, be in the moment, work hard. And, one thing I learned that your mind needs to be ready to receive the achievement or the blessing that you want. So make sure that you're in a very positive mindset and mind space, and then everything will just happen naturally. So yeah, you never know how close you are. So don't give up, unless you've given 100%. And also, it's okay for your dream and your passion to change. If it does change, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means that there's something else waiting for you as well. And that is exactly what I wanted to show with my journey. I became an Olympic athlete, and then I went over to rugby, and I made national squad in rugby. And if I get back to Olympics now,
you're going to make it again.
Anything is possible. Yeah. And it's okay to change. It's okay to switch. It's okay to change.
You say it's okay to fail as well.
100%. I learned that the hard way because I hate failure. But the only way you're going to succeed and learn is if you fail. So, every failure, take it as a lesson and use it. That's your weapons that you keep in your pocket.
Yeah, that's like I got this thing to remember by.
Exactly.
And what was your quickest time?
On the 100 I ran 11:15, and on the 200 22:7, I think.
Before the conversation, you're saying that you hit a record at some point in your.
Oh, that was when I was. I ran a few records at provincial level and national level and all of those things. But like as a junior and youth, I still haven't hit the senior. records, which I hope will come in due time. But yeah, one of my records that I can boast about that still stands is in Australia, the Pacific School Games, where I think in the 100 meter, my record is 12:05.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
For 100 meter.
Yeah.
And that's fast.
For the age, it's fast.
For the age. But so what's the fastest? Now, do you know the fastest 100 meter now?
For in senior level?
For actual.
Yeah, fastest is still Flo Joshi holds the record at a 10:47. Oh, I lied, 10 something. But Elaine Thompson is very close. She ran a 10:61 this year.
Do you think you can
Me?
work something out to get there? To hit that lower than 10 or on that 10?
We can me personally.
you.
We can chat. If you have a lot of money, then you can help me.
We need some sponsorships there.
I mean,
Let's
me
just throw it
personally,
out there.
my goal is to run a sub 11 before I retire. But I don't think any female in this world will run a sub 10 now.
And on the male circuit?
On the male circuit, they run sub 10. They run.
What's
10.
Usain Bolt? Who's holding the record there? Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He's 9:40 something. Is someone's gonna beat his record anytime soon? I don't think so. Maybe in the
Maybe
next
there's
10
a
years.
kid somewhere there like
I'm coming, Usain, I'm coming. But I mean, it's possible. It's not impossible. But maybe in the next 10 years when the next generation has come up, but not anytime soon.
not now, yeah.
Not anytime soon, no.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching today's show. It has been an honor. Alyssa, thank you for pulling through. We got a comment from Lindley Larry saying phenomenal athlete. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy today's show. I hope you could go home with something interesting or something to learn from and something to draw from. Melissa, do you have any closing remarks on your side before we call it a show?
Just thank you for having me, and thank you for sharing my story with everyone, and just keep doing you. Love your true self and be your true self and enjoy life. Like, don't just love or don't just exist, but love. Like, make your life count. You only have one, like everybody says, but just make it count.
Make it work, yeah. I like Bear Grylls said a statement where he was in an interview. Bear Grylls that goes in the bush and stuff. And he's like, he wants to get to heaven one day, like all bruised up and scratched up and say, like, man, what a ride.
I loved, like...
I did what I wanted to do.
Exactly.
I left it all out there on the field. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to our guest once again. And, don't forget, tomorrow morning we will have another show at 9. In fact, every morning leading up to Friday, we'll have shows from 9 to 10. So, do tune in and watch that. Also, please do subscribe. And also give us a like. You got a bunch of people watching today. Hit that like button. Helps the algorithm make the kind of video go so people can see it when they log on. Boom, it will pop up. So thank you so much for watching today. It's always an honor. I love you. See you on the next one. Bye-bye. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to it.
Good morning to the folks. What up to the youngins and bless up to the world.
And then Jay just put your info on blast like that.
It's what the people want to know, bro. My bad.
Nah, bro.